everyone, welcome to our channel once again. Today we are going to take a look at the domain name system, DNS. In these days, we are using websites for many different things. Have you ever thought about how they are displayed on your screen? Every electronic device communicates with numbers, but when you are searching for a website, you type in a name, but it only understands numbers. How does this happen? This is where the DNS comes in. The domain name system, DNS, is the phone book of the Internet. Humans access information online through domain names, like Google.com and Amazon.com. Web browsers interact through Internet Protocol, IP, addresses. DNS translates domain names to IP addresses so browsers can load Internet resources. Each device connected to the Internet has a unique IP address which other machines use to find the device. DNS servers eliminate the need for humans to memorize IP addresses such as 192.168.1 in IPv4 or more complex newer alphanumeric IP addresses such as IPv6. In DNS, there are 4 DNS servers involved in loading a web page. They are 1. DNS recursor, 2. Root name server, 3. Top-level domain name server, 4. Authoritative name server, 1. DNS recursor. The recursor can be thought of as a librarian who is asked to go find a particular book somewhere in a library. The DNS recursor is a server designed to receive queries from client machines through applications such as web browsers. Typically, the recursor is then responsible for making additional requests in order to satisfy the client's DNS query. 2. Root name server. The root server is the first step in resolving human-readable host names into IP addresses. It can be thought of like an index in a library that points to different racks of books. Typically, it serves as a reference to other more specific locations. 3. Top-level domain name server. The top-level domain server, TLD, can be thought of as a specific rack of books in a library. This name server is the next step in the search for a specific IP address, and it hosts the last portion of a hostname. In example.com, the TLD server is com. 4. Authoritative name server. This final name server can be thought of as a dictionary on a rack of books, in which a specific name can be translated into its definition. The authoritative name server is the last stop in the name server query. If the authoritative name server has access to the requested record, it will return the IP address for the requested hostname back to the DNS recursor, the librarian, that made the initial request. How does DNS work? We are looking at the DNS works as it has the 1 resolver. 2. Root name server. 3. TLD. Top-level domain name server. 4. Authoritative name server. When you type just domain name www.example.com in your browser, the DNS server will search through its database to find a matching IP address for that domain name. And if your web browser or operating system can't find the IP address in its own cache memory, it will send the query to the next level to what is called the resolver server. So when the resolver receives the query, it will check its own cache memory to find an IP address for example.com, and if it can't find it, it will send the query to the next level, which is the root server. So when the root server receives a query for the IP address for example.com, the root server is not going to know what the IP address is, but the root server does know where to send the resolver to help it find the IP address. So when a TLD server receives a query for the IP address for example.com, the TLD server is not going to know what the IP address is for example.com. The TLD will direct the resolver to the next and final level, which are the authoritative name servers. Once again, the resolver will now ask the authoritative name server for the IP address for example.com. The authoritative name server or servers are responsible for knowing everything about the domain, which includes the IP address. They are the final authority. So when the authoritative name server receives the query from the resolver, the name server will respond with the IP address for example.com. Finally, the resolver will tell your computer the IP address for example.com, and then your computer can now retrieve the example web page. It's important to note that once the resolver receives the IP address, it will store it in its cache memory in case it receives another query for example.com, so it doesn't have to go through all those steps again. Thank you for your patience. That's all for today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so that you receive notifications on my videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and share with your friends, all while learning new things about cybersecurity.